Call the meeting to order, 6:02. It's the 20th of February 2019, the council meeting. Roll call, Dvoyevich.
Here.
Hekumovich.
Here.
Meyer Nail.
Here.
Stein's here, Johnson's not here. I need a motion to approve the agenda as written. I do have some additions, but do we have a motion to approve?
So.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a motion by Dvoyevich, second by Hekumovich. For discussion, I have some stuff I want to add under council members. Speakers. Speakers for like projecting our voice into the crowd there, some kind of PA system. Murray Ward about building, I can't think of it, guys, I'm sorry. To look at some buildings, whether in the city that may need to be condemned or building inspections, thank you. And then the ordinances that we're going to look at tonight. Other than that, anybody else have anything else to add on the agenda? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. So with a guest, beautiful Bovey.
Hi, for those who don't know me, I'm Logan Nichols.
Hi, Logan.
And I will be taking over the liaison between beautiful Bovey and City Council. So we have a couple things going on right now. We're doing a chili feed on March 30th. We just checked the calendar and that is open. So the chili feed will be from 4 to 7, and then we're going to do bingo from 5 to 7 or while the prices last. And we've gotten approved for that as long as we did not give out money is what I understood for that prices.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you go back just a little bit? Because I asked a question and I missed part of what you said. So it's March what?
30th.
30th, okay. And what was it about the money or prizes?
For the bingo, we're going to do bingo with it too. And then as far as I understand, as long as we don't give out any money for prizes, we can do the bingo.
So you're going to take donations then for prizes to give out?
Yes, yep. And then, let's see, there is, I guess last night we applied for a grant from the Blandon Foundation for a new lawnmower and a shed possibly, and that's for $5,000. And it's not, I don't believe it's closed to just a lawnmower, but rather like a UTV or you know, a utility vehicle or whatnot. And I do believe that the city of Bovey has to also put some money down on that. I'm not sure on what amount, or you know, I'm sure we'll kind of figure that out at a later date.
Let me know who you're, I don't know who you're talking to at the Blandon Foundation, but if you, when you find out, let me know so I can call them.
Okay. Okay. And then that's all I really have. You know, we're moving forward into a new year here. You know, we ordered some plans and stuff like that. I was just kind of wondering, you know, what did you guys want to see happening in town this summer, or for maybe events, or you know, some new fundraisers, or new projects for us to work on, you know, and whatnot. So.
Good question. I like the flowers and that kind of stuff that you guys are doing and sprucing things up and making it a warm and friendly place to come to, but as far as events, I'm not sure. I like to see stuff for the, you know, more kids in town now, which is great. It'd be nice to have something maybe that encompasses that.
Okay, so we're doing like a kids fair or something?
Yeah.
Something like that. All right, yeah, just think about it. I'll be here every third Wednesday of the month, and I'll come and do a little monthly check-in and everything. And,
Okay.
and so if you guys got anything, please let us know. Yes.
Kevin had brought up once before about some planters,
We can talk later about that.
but that would be something that
Okay. So,
might be on that list of things to do this summer.
all right, sounds good. Thank you much.
And beautiful Bovey, since you're still up there, who's in charge of the signs on the light poles? Is that, who do I talk to about that?
For
Nameplates?
Nameplates, yeah. Is there a specific person in your organization I need to talk to? Because I want to add one to the one that we have already for the Wendorski Memorial, if that's possible.
okay, well, yeah, let's talk after the meeting, and
Okay. public forum. Anybody want to speak to the council? Anybody? Okay, moving on. Consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report, minutes from the February 6, 2019 council meeting, and disbursements for claims and payroll. Do I have a motion?
One motion.
Motion by Meyer Nail. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Hekamovich. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor for approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to department heads and committees. Street and Public Works, Kevin Otten.
Greetings.
Hi, Kevin.
Let's, on my report first. Do we have anything?
I did not.
I do. Line item 1200 streets. I talked to the State Historic Preservation Office. They have architects on board that can work with us. So I have not been in contact with any of the architects at this time, since they do have architects.
Okay.
I've been a little busy,
Yeah.
so I have talked to two people there. They kind of pass the buck, but they just want to pass the buck to the right person. So there'll be actually two separate people. One will handle the awning, the other one will handle the ADA capabilities or facilities,
Right.
also known as elevator, maybe. So,
And I guess with that said, I forgot to add on here about, I don't know if I can add on the agenda now, but finding a different spot temporarily for meetings where people can get in and out. So,
I was just going to bring that up anyway.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
there you go.
Oh, so,
Separate spot for meeting, what's on your mind there?
well, I was thinking downstairs in the kitchen area temporarily because I've had some citizens saying that they have a difficult time coming when they can't get here, but they can get into the downstairs. So it's something we should look at and consider.
Yeah, because you're supposed to have.
ADA accessible. Yeah.
That is true.
Or even in the senior center itself.
Yeah.
Or even in the senior center itself. Yeah, but we need to look at that, so we can discuss it now, or we can discuss it at the next council meeting if you want to.
Whatever your wish is, I brought it up, so.
Well, why don't we discuss it at the next council meeting, if it would be available,
Okay.
and why it wouldn't at the senior center.
Senior
That way we're not cramping through the
Right.
basement.
I will tell you that the last time we had talked to the senior center director, she said that no one is ever allowed to use the senior center unless you are a member of it.
I beg to differ with that.
I beg to differ also.
That's city. That's not senior
It's
citizen.
city property and it's city maintained and it's
Yes.
city things donated to it and
Just need to have a discussion and not, cause issues, but I mean, I'm sure people have used it maybe in the past and caused damage or didn't clean up or something.
It might actually be easier to hold a meeting downstairs anyway. The senior center is not very wide.
Right.
I'm not sure how that would work out.
Right.
I think there's a lot of stuff that would have to be moved just to get tables situated correctly.
We add that to the next council packet? Thank you.
Okay, so anyway, that was part of the number 12 line item.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't have anything else actually on the report. I do have a couple other things I'd like to bring up. The PEEP insurance that we signed up with last year,
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding between PEEP and us as the union. The plan ran from July 1st and to July 1st of this year was our understanding. So the city, with a letter of understanding, the city agreed to put in the $4,000 to the HSA.
Okay.
every July, or when the plan renews. But the plan doesn't renew this year until the end of this year. They lock us in for a year and a half. So, but the thing that renews in January is the deductible and out of pocket. So, beginning January 1 this year, everything rolled over as far as out of pocket expenses to the employees.
Okay.
As of right now, nobody, I'm still waiting for the report from them, but right now, verbally over the phone, she said nobody is near running out of money in their HSA. But if something happens between now and July is when, July 1st is when the next contribution will be made. So we just kind of want a verbal understanding that if somebody did even get close to running out, could a contribution be made to the HSA before July 1st?
Well, because of the circumstances and how this came about, I think the spirit of what was done was to make sure there's insurance. So I think all that would be is this one time because of the way it was halfway through the year. I would think that that would be what we need to do. Do we need to make a motion for that, or or is that just, is there any?
Well, I think we can just, if it comes to be, of course, if it comes to be, could actually, possibly could be something that would be done quickly. I don't know.
Okay, so,
Maybe a motion would be best that if somebody gets, let's say, under $1,000 in their HSA, that a contribution. Because
I'll make a motion that if an employee falls under the $1,000, the city will make the contribution to make them whole.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
you have the deer in the
No, I thought Adam was going to, so,
Oh,
no.
No, just, yeah, so we understand that, the fact that it was halfway through, and when they're
Under
renewing,
the service.
yeah, under the circumstances, in order to make the employee whole, what happens, that's necessary. So the most we would have to put in is $4,000, so.
But the motion reads if necessary.
Right. So we have a motion by Trebojevic, second by Meyer-Nail.
Yeah.
No further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'll get it right here sooner or later, it's just different, so I'm sorry. Anything else, Kevin?
okay, I got one other thing. At the last meeting, Derek brought up the pond
Mhm.
that our backwash water goes into. We had discussed before at previous meetings about how our federal permit says I have to do more testing, so I want backwash water not going in there anyway. And we talked about playground and rolling this all into one grant. I talked to the grant person today, she's not the director, she's one of the workers there, but she said that will not work. She said they will only grant the pond enhancements. So Matt and actually called right after I got off the phone with her, and we started talking about the grant possibilities for the backwash, the Clean Water Act possibly could be utilized for that, maybe even a level grant, so. But as far as the playground, I don't know, I guess we'll just have to relook at that.
That would probably have to be incorporated into something other than the pond project.
Right.
Right.
So you're saying we can still apply for the DNR
Yes, we
grant, but you can't wrap it in with the.
Right, and actually, this is probably gonna work out for the better because the grant, deadline for the next round is March 18th. And to try to put everything together by then is virtually impossible. There is a May 13th deadline, but she said the funds will not be available for that round this year. So we basically, I got my paperwork done, Nancy Lynn's got some stuff to do, but I think we can easily get that in by the March deadline now.
The DNR grant?
Yes.
Okay.
Great?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that beautiful Bovey will be helping with this piece of it too.
Yes. Had some discussions with Jeff today about aquatic plants or whatever, you know, I'm not into that stuff, so, but he has a degree, so I think we can sit down and kind of design what we might want to see down there. Besides the eyesore it is now.
Right.
And I've spoken with Derek, and he just wanted to make sure we voted on, or we made sure it was okay to apply for that grant tonight, so it could move forward.
We didn't do that last council?
I don't think it was voted on, I think it was talked about and discussed.
Well, we're proceeding with the paperwork to get it in. So.
Yeah, I mean, if we're successful in the grant, we're gonna have to make a resolution anyway
Right.
to accept it, so.
We're gonna vote now, so is there a motion?
I'll make a motion
Motion by,
to proceed.
second by Mitch to proceed on application for the DNR grant. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Meyer Nail.
And give you your practice.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
One more thing, while I was talking to Matt, and he talked to Chris Ismail about our 7th Avenue project, and they have a meeting this Friday, but the Bovey application will not be looked at on this meeting, and he stated to Matt that they're not going to fund one block projects anymore. Matt said that's Chris talking, but I think he has a lot of weight with the board. So it's possible we might not get that grant. We might have to look at a larger project, which of course would cost a lot more money. We're already bonded pretty heavily, so I'm not sure. I guess I gotta regroup here and think about this, because I'm not sure where to go from here.
I think we're pretty close, if not at our tax capacity.
Well, for bonding, we're not.
We're not?
We're not. We can bond for a lot more money, but of course, who wants to pay for that?
Right.
So, unless we can really try to find some grants out there, which for the most part, I mean, there's a lot of low interest loans out there. Grant money's hard to come by now, and especially for water and sewer.
Right.
So, I had one other thing. I don't think I'll bring that up now.
Which is what?
Remember we talked about a joint public works building
Great.
up there with Coleraine?
Yeah.
The mayor's here, so he's probably never heard this one before, but.
Well, that's the one we're gonna build, but Coleraine was gonna pay for it?
No, we're actually hoping IRRB will pay for it, because they love joint efforts.
Right. Right.
And I did talk to Harry again today, and he's still for it, so.
And that would be the building portion itself and sharing the building?
Yes.
So it wouldn't be joining the two maintenance departments? Okay. Just want to make that clear.
Which I'm not against, but down the road I foresee it, but right now I think we just concentrate on the building.
Right.
And then, once I told Harry, let me know what you think you need for space, and I'll get some kind of conceptual drawing, and then I'll come to Coleraine, talk to you guys about it, and we'll go from there, but we gotta do something.
Yeah.
They're crammed over there, we're crammed, we gotta get our stuff out of there.
Yeah.
We got the sweeper and Colerane's jetter down there.
It's gonna rust down there with all the moisture.
Well, you should have seen the moisture that came a couple weeks ago, when a 2-inch water line broke up above. So, it's time.
It's good.
You want me to stick around for speakers, or
Well, yeah, I wanna talk about a PA system, we gotta do something.
you want me to just try to do it now?
Might as well.
Might as well. So, a lot of complaints I get from citizens is if we don't speak up, they can't hear, and even if we do speak up, it's garbled back there. So there's a lot of citizens that are watching when it's running. We need to have something in here, or wherever, so we have speakers, and there is systems out there that are Bluetooth speakers, or this or that, but anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 for these systems, some are $3,000. But we need to do something, because the other system we had here was creating feedback, so they absolutely could not hear us when it was going, even though it was projecting. And I just think we need something at the podium and something here, so that the citizens can hear. We need to look into it.
I think lapel mics would be probably the best for mics.
Probably.
Bluetooth, wireless.
Or even they make the wireless ones that you press the button, it's all Bluetooth, and gotta be charged and all that, but I mean, it's not gonna be just go downtown and buy a Radio Shack, it's, but we need to do something.
I've only had one complaint about the channel 2 sound not being very loud. I happened to tune in the last meeting for some reason. I had my volume maybe a third of the way up and it was plenty loud, so
Okay.
perhaps the TV, I did send them a link to the YouTube and they said, beautiful.
So even without our speakers, they can hear us on YouTube, is what you're saying?
Oh, the YouTube, if you go on the YouTube videos, crystal clear.
Do you think it has a lot to do with the acoustics in this room?
It could be, but I mean, the microphone on there must be picking up pretty good, because if you go, if you go on the website and hit the link for the videos on YouTube, they're fine.
Well, I don't have TV, so it's been like 3 years. I don't get to see any reruns of it or anything, but can we do some checking to see exactly if that's what it is? Because I have had complaints from a few citizens more often than not that they just can't hear it. So I would like us to check into it.
Well, I talked to SCI about their equipment here, and of course, they never came up to look at it. So,
Even if we could have something here that gets to that speaker, to make it clear. I
well,
don't.
we could mount Bluetooth speakers on the wall.
Yeah, people back in the audience can't hear us talking. If you're, not projecting towards them, I'd rather them say, we can't hear what you're saying up there. So something's gotta be done. So,
Okay. How much you want to spend?
I wish I could say we had $10 billion in savings or something, but I don't know. It needs to be looked at and maybe budgeted for another, whatever, I don't know.
I think especially if we're gonna go downstairs and we're gonna have to
That
have
would be
something.
worse. That would be worse downstairs.
Yeah, so something to start thinking about now, and we might not have money in the budget for it this time, but we do gotta do something. Or we're gonna have to consciously remember to speak up, people can hear,
Yeah, you get what you pay for if you buy something.
Right.
If you buy cheap, we're gonna get cheap.
Right.
I looked into this before, and it only looked cheap because of the budget. But I didn't really like anything I found under $500 that was even feasible.
Right, that stuff's not gonna work,
So
so,
that's broadcasting.
That is broadcasting live on channel 2.
So there's gotta be, like you said, a lapel microphone or something that can connect to that. I mean, something out there that it'll just,
But I think if we got a speaker on the wall,
it would
you
make
know,
it
right
right
there, and a speaker right here,
but you might get interference then too, between the two microphone or the speaker going into that microphone. I would think, and I don't know how much that costs. I would think there's a video camera out there that you can get speakers with that are supposed to read together. Not that I know that, but
Actually,
I would think there's something.
there's some video cameras you can buy that sync with Bluetooth microphones.
Yeah,
So, but I mean, I just think we need to look at it, especially if we go downstairs, we need to get ADA compliant, so citizens can get here. I wanna show up, so.
I do agree that the problem's twofold. I mean, not only, there are times when I was sitting in the audience and I cannot hear us, but then there's also the problem of hearing us when we're recording, so.
Yeah.
We need both.
Yeah.
So how should we go about this? Should we saddle seven with that again, or should we find some organization that specializes in it to ask them what they've got out there? What do you guys wanna do? Put it on next council meeting agenda and let us
Yeah,
look
but
at
see
stuff?
what you can find, because it's gonna cost you to hire somebody to do it,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Put it on the next agenda. Whatever you come
I
up with.
will look at stuff between snowflakes.
There you go.
Good plan.
It's snowing out.
So,
Kevin, I have one last question for you.
Did you say one last question?
Okay, maybe two now.
Okay.
Okay. Garbage, under garbage, it said that your weekly average was 5.7 tons.
Yep.
How's that working since we got rid of recycling? How's that compare?
Not a big increase. I guess we won't know for sure, so we get maybe a year into it to see what the difference is. I would say no more than a half a ton. It's not bad. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. But I'm not sure what people are doing.
That initial month though was bad, wasn't it? Like
Yeah,
a couple
because
weeks
everybody
after or
stopped
something. Right.
So, and we're only at 37 signups, so we're a long ways from 100, so. I did put it on the website, so, once the website gets out there,
right.
maybe more will sign up.
How much was that gonna be again, just to?
599.
Kevin, the website looks wonderful too.
It does.
Only I thought it looked great. One concern is one of those pictures, the pictures that flow on the very top. One of them is an orange and black marching band. I thought maybe we should change that to greenway colors or something.
What's up with that, Kevin?
Well, the place in Texas must have orange and black marching.
There you go.
I mean, I'll tell you, this website is fantastic to work with. So easy, so user friendly.
Can you replace that picture yourself?
I can replace that picture myself. But I don't know when I'm gonna find a Greenway marching band marching and get a picture.
Do
Anytime soon.
you want help getting some pictures? We have some really great
You know,
pictures on beautiful Bovey.
I mean, we can, this is gonna be great for the businesses too, because we can promote the businesses, we can have pictures of the businesses on there. We can put restaurants menu on there, we probably shouldn't, but, there's just so much we can do with this website.
Well, I think you can advertise the businesses because they're in your community. It's kind of like Grand Rapids has, it's in our nature or whatever. Any of the businesses can use that in Grand Rapids, so.
I mean, when I put the thing on for recycling, I told them one of the options is taking up to the scenic landfill up on scenic highway 7, and I was able to put a hyperlink to a
Yep.
map of the landfill.
Yep.
Boom, there's a map of the landfill. It's just so easy to do. So I think, once the work gets out, once it gets seen, hopefully the businesses come and say, hey, what can we do? I haven't had much time to work with it, I'm just trying to update a lot of the contact stuff and hours and.
It'll all come together eventually. So,
Anything else?
you had on here the insurance letter of understanding?
That's what the Pete thing was.
Okay.
Good to go?
All right, good. Thanks, Kevin. Police. Hey, Bill, how you doing?
How are you? There's two reports. So in December, there was 104 calls for service, and in January 2019, there was 87. December, there was no assist to other agencies, and obviously in January, there was a handful. But they were in the general vicinity of Bovey, a couple people taken into custody, stuff like that. Any questions on them?
Then, what else you got for us?
Okay. On the agenda, it says policy manual, I'm not sure. I didn't put policy. The Minnesota Post Board has kind of model policy regarding investigation in response to sexual assaults. It's nothing that is mandatory at this point, but it will be in the near future. Once they adopt it, it's going to move forward where it's mandatory for each department to have it. I have attached a copy of the model policy. That's what I would like to adopt. Doesn't have to be at this meeting if you haven't had a chance to look at it. There is no deadline on this yet. But it is something that we're going to have to adopt.
I don't need to look at it again, I've been looking at it for a couple, 2-3 weeks now. In my agency, we did make some changes to it, Bill, that fit our agency better. It's my understanding you can make some changes to that.
Yeah, it's just a model to go
Right.
by.
So, but if you're comfortable with it, then I know what it says. So.
I'm comfortable with it. You know, and we might have more heads together thinking about it, talking about situations that maybe I need to talk to you about some possible changes.
No, we just looked at it, that policy really doesn't change what we do for investigating.
Yeah, it doesn't, it just, this is what you need to do.
I think this is flock shooting because of something else that happened down in the Twin Cities, and now we're all gonna be, having this in our policy now. You know, they're mandated, so. There is a thing about training in there too, so that eventually could be something where we have some more money to spend on training, specific training for the state, but
You know,
we have no control over that.
That's short-lived for the initial training of people, the
Yeah.
pursuit training. Initially, when that became mandatory, they
Died
it
off.
for the first couple of years, and then you absorb the cost after that.
Yeah.
It's still mandatory. But initially, they might have some fun. Again, we can adopt it tonight, or we can hold off, and it's not mandatory at this point.
I read through it and originally got it. My opinion, if you guys think it's good, I mean, that's more your area of expertise.
I was just wondering how it was going to be implemented, and when it gets implemented, then what was the training going to be to actually roll it out?
Well, initially, if this gets implemented, if you guys approve it tonight, it'll be implemented in the near future. And basically, it comes down with a review process amongst all the officers and a sign-off that they understand what's supposed to be done. If there's some other training offered by the state or other agencies in Ancaster County, the Alliance may have some training put out there. As far as that, we have nobody qualified to train anybody in this. So it'd be a matter of reviewing the policy, understanding what it says, and hopefully following it.
The policy doesn't change, really does not, the verbiage does not change what law enforcement does to investigate that type of crime. It's still the same. They're just putting it in some verbiage now because of an article that was written down in Minneapolis. And so the state has post board saying they need a mandated policy now to do this. And if they have some training, I know that at the very beginning, they're gonna put money into this training, but the training is still gonna be stuff that we're already doing now.
Are you already doing trauma-informed interviewing? I mean, because I think that's kind of a newer thing, isn't it?
It's a buzzword. Trauma
Well, there's
informed.
a specific way to interview someone who's been affected by sexual assault.
Right, and there's some interviews that we can take part in. Other interviews we are not trained properly, and it has to be a special agent.
Right.
And I know Grand Rapids has a couple that are trained, and Itasca County has several. And if it falls in that criteria, you don't talk to them at all,
Right.
from our standpoint as an officer.
In the county in Grand Rapids, we would have someone for any agency that doesn't have a trained person, we would pick up that slack, so. Because it's very expensive, that training, so.
It's not something that the city could afford to send us.
No.
It's very in-depth.
You're looking at me like that. What, wait? Oh, I use the term buzzword?
Yeah,
It's kind of like microaggressions or stuff like that. I mean, it's the new term they're using. It's all, when we investigate it, it's always been trauma informed, you know?
I won't say. I probably disagree with you, but
That's fine.
Any other questions?
I would like to leave things as they are for now.
Okay.
And when it's mandated for us to do it, then we have to see what we have to do and we can adopt it at that time.
That's fine.
And make sure we have other arrangements with like Grand Rapids that would cover
Them,
what we can.
yeah, them arrangements are in place.
Yeah.
Itasca County has to take them for us.
But I mean, this is recommended from post board right now, correct?
Right, it will be that.
It's going to be,
So when it is mandated, then I think we should move on it then.
it'll be August 1st then, right? We have to have it in place before August 1st, I believe.
Well,
So-
we've got a
So
couple
it's already mandated, but it's not mandated till.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. And the other thing is I would like approval to attend the Chiefs of Police Executive Training Institution again this year in St. Cloud. It's April 14th to the 17th. Registration for the conference is $450. There'll be 3 nights lodging at the Best Restaurant at the Inn Plus.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the chief to attend the annual chiefs meeting in St. Cloud.
Okay, a motion by Boyovich, second by Meyer Nail. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Any question from you folks?
Did you get that state stuff in with Tara?
It is not in. I did talk to Tara. Tara usually fills most of that out herself and asks me questions if need be.
Okay,
I did talk to her on Monday, and she has it in her folder of things to do.
okay, I just wanted to make sure it's in before
Yep.
15.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Fire department. Is that you, Deb?
We had our first meeting last Wednesday. Brian Johnson, myself, and Kenny DeCosta were there. The meeting went quite well. I mean, it was a short meeting, but once we have all the members there, I think we can proceed with a few more things. I was looking, it was brought to my attention in the January 10th, 2018 meeting, that in the minutes, it states budgets, financials, payable were discussed. The reports have been submitted, have been inadequate. So Bovey Clerk Kara, Beach Deputy Corey, Deputy Clerk Mary Roy, and Chief Lonnie Majelsis will meet to try to straighten out books and set up a system that works for both cities. Now, we were not notified of anything of that on our last Wednesday meeting, so I will be checking into it again, because I'm not sure of what reports or what payables were in question. And also, there's a few other things that I would like to bring up at our next fire meeting, but it went well with a new chief now, who is very interested in making sure everything's above board, out in the open, on top of things. I think we should be fine. But that was one of my main concerns for that meeting, the last meeting in 2018, as far as what the problems were, or where they were, or why they weren't filed correctly, because it's gonna come down to audit. And with the cities being combined, we need to know these things. If they need to be corrected, they need to be corrected. As far as the building, I did ask about the tenancy agreement for the building itself, and it is run by the fire board. So the 50-50 is Bovey 50%, Corain 50%, and that's on maintenance. At one time, in 2015, there was supposed to be reports made of equipment and assets that were in Corain that would have evened out the Bovey contribution of the land. It wasn't done. It should have been in those reports, and it was not done. As of this stage, 3 years later, it would be pretty hard to backtrack what should have been done at the time. So actually, in my opinion, it was a mismanagement with the board members in not following through with that. I being on the board now don't expect that to happen again.
Right.
If we ask for proof or whatever, we want it done. So that's all I have from the fire board.
Okay. Any questions for Deb? All right. Planning and zoning.
You want me to go up there? Can I just talk from there?
Maybe you just talk there from there.
Okay, so this last planning and zoning meeting, we did not have any variances or any,
Building permits?
thank you. We talked a little bit about the ordinances and what had been said here, and how that affects us a little. We voted on who would be the chairperson again and who, the assistant chairperson and the secretary. It's all going to stay the same as it was last time. And then we talked about filling that other seat, that other vacancy. And we all agreed upon that we would possibly want Jeff to do it, since he's already coming to every meeting anyway.
Right.
So that's that would be your choice.
Well, I'll make a motion to put Jeff on the planning and zoning board.
Is there a second? Second. We got a first and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 You should probably
I
abstain.
said aye.
Abstain.
Oh, should I abstain? Oh, I'm sorry.
You might have a personal connection with her.
True, I abstain. Okay.
So, motion carries.
That's all for planning and zoning.
Okay. And then moving on to Attorney John Dimmitt, he's not here. Now moving on to council members. We have the pond grant on here, but we already discussed that, correct, Kevin?
Yes.
And then we talked about the speakers, that's done. What I want to talk about, I put on there is Murray Ward, he's a building inspector. I know we have some buildings in disrepair in the city, and I've had a citizen talk to me about if we were to hire someone like Murray Ward on some of these buildings that are in disrepair, so potentially we could then go through the process of eliminating some of these buildings. So I'm not even sure how many buildings we have in Bovey that we need to have inspected, or if we should even inspect. But I wanted to bring up to the council that it's an option.
Do we know the cost to us?
I do not know that right now.
And do we have ordinances to cover that?
I do not know that.
I don't believe we do at this time.
We're gonna find out. Kevin
If you recall, we did hire Murray a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, to look at the old bottle shop that now Mr. Beckett owns.
Right?
And I thought there was one other building he looked at.
And it wasn't it ending up non-enforceable?
Yes, and I thought we paid him like 12, was it 1,200 or,
It was not cheap.
it wasn't cheap.
Per building or?
No, total, I believe.
So, because.
I could be wrong though, but I
He did the
think,
inspection, but we had no ordinances that made anything enforceable.
Correct.
Okay, so with that said, then, that's the ordinances come in here. I sure don't wanna adopt the state building code, we can't afford to enforce all that stuff. But, I would like to move on then to the ordinances, and we had, copies of all the known ordinances that we have for our city. And my goal is maybe for us to look at these ordinances for our next meeting, all of us just look at what we have here. I want to be able to come up with new ordinances that have a new numbering system, like chapters, so they're easy to find, and get ordinances that are enforceable in this city. Now, either we can see what other cities are doing, maybe getting Colorane's ordinances and piggybacking off of that, or going through everything else, but we need to do something so they're on the website, citizens can understand it, and they're easily found and they're enforceable. And so that would mean looking at these ordinances, coming up with some ideas, and having a meeting with people in our city, Kevin, the chief of police, and stuff, this, come in here to say, this is what we need in order for us to do our job. Because I know that when I worked here as a law enforcement officer, they were difficult to go through, and they were not enforceable.
Okay, can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because in planning and zoning, we've been going through this we've been kicking it around for a year now. And, I feel like there's 3 separate possibilities of how to go about this.
Okay.
And of course, we go through all of our own ordinances and find out what's wrong and fix them, right?
Mhm.
Or we look at Colorane's or adopt Colorane's, with permission, of course. Or the other one is to adopt the state code, which the Minnesota League of Cities has created. I just want to say that if what we're doing is we want to start a framework, let's say, of any one of those, Colorane's, the League of Cities, to me, the worst thing that we could do is to use ours, because the framework is not there. So we are starting with a flawed frame. We have to admit that we don't even know if all the pages are there, because as far as I know, the pages aren't even numbered. It would take what we've heard in the past is that some pages could have even been removed.
Right?
Okay, so to use a frame that is flawed, to start over with, seems like we're setting ourselves up for failure to begin with.
But I agree with you, we need to have under chapters, certain specific titles that do with certain things, but there may be something in here that's specific to the city of Bovey, so we still need to review these and see what we want to keep, potentially, so when we if we're gonna adopt something else, I don't want to just say disregard all this without researching it. You know, there might be something specific to Bovey in here that we want to keep, but if we do decide to use someone else's city ordinances as a framework, we still have to go through those to.
Then what I think you're saying is that the League of Minnesota Cities almost is the best frame, because it's a frame, and it even asks you to put in your own definition. I mean, it kind of asks you to put in your dollar amount for a fee for this, or to me, that's the best framework. You have corporate lawyers who have created that.
So do we have to pay for the framework of the League of Minnesota
We
Cities?
already did.
That's what we voted on last week. Is that what we voted on CD for last?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. My opinion is this. that is a very general thing, with their framework is chapters, whatever, but they have stuff in there, if you adopt it, that you have to enforce, and that costs money. If you adopt the state building code, you gotta pay someone to enforce that. And it's not the police, a lot of it is getting an inspector on, Kevin.
Well, if you adopt it, can't you repeal certain sections of it?
Sure, but then you're still going through there and rewriting it, because maybe how they have
We
the,
still would have to,
right, the parking ordinances, you're gonna have to change it that fits the city.
yes, you still would. But I'm just saying as a frame, we get to build upon that frame, whereas we're saying, we're taking something that's flawed, and we're gonna try to make it enforceable for our city when we don't even know how to do that.
Oh, I don't wanna use this framework at all, I just wanna go through them and read here and see what we wanna keep,
But
and then you change it.
are we getting ahead of ourselves deciding whether we want to use whichever one for framework when we haven't even looked through these? I think we need to start and look through these before we even make a decision on whose framework we're using, because I understand we don't want to use this as framework.
Absolutely not.
And I'm
But we
not
haven't
saying
even
frames,
looked
I'm not
through it.
saying like chapters, I'm saying,
Right, but we haven't even, I don't think we need to make that decision today, because we haven't looked at Colerane's. I haven't seen the League of Minnesota City, I mean, so to me, why don't we go home and look through this, and then come back and we can make that decision later on.
and I'm gonna say that it's nearly impossible for you to put one book, like Colerane's sitting here, and ours sitting here, and go page by page, or you say, okay, this subject, okay, now I gotta flip over here and find it. I mean, I think the task is a lot bigger than,
I just want us to look at what we have here to see if there's anything in here specific to our city that we say we want in that next thing. And then you pull it out and say, when we do this, however we decide to do it, we want to incorporate this in that one.
okay.
I'm not saying go through this and rewrite this to fit it. Let's take what we think we need to take out of this, because something might be specific to the city of Bovey, and then we'll move it into the other stuff we decide to adopt.
Okay. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
that's,
not what
I just think our message got, I don't want this framework the way it's numbered and stuff, I mean, it's terrible, but then, yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of papers here, but all of us have to be familiar with this,
Right.
what we have.
right,
All of us have to be. I mean, I've gone through this for 20-some odd years, but I couldn't go into the code book and say exactly where it is, because just the way it's set up. You'd have to go through damn near from page 1 to the
Right.
end to find out what it was referring to. But we all have to be familiar with this, first of all. And then I'd like to see what department it affects. And you start with that department and say, what needs to be reworded? What needs to be changed to be enforced? So if we do it, and it's kind of broke down that way, as far as enforceable police,
And I mean, and not to interrupt, do we want to start by department versus just, I mean, this is,
I just,
it's up to you,
no, it's not to me, it's up to the council, but
But do we want to, I mean, this is a lot of reading by next.
well, I'm not saying we do the whole thing in one. in
No,
one-
right, that's what I'm saying, do we want to pick it?
I want every council member to be semi-familiar
with what
with
we
this
have,
first,
Right,
what the city is affected by. And
right,
then we can go from department to department, or like planning and zoning on the land uses, this, that, and whatever. Like I say, once you get what you want in there, what you're happy with in there, what is obsolete, which it may be, I mean, I think there's a few things in there, they're still talking about horse and buggy. So, you know, it doesn't need to be in there. And then it's restructuring.
or picking out the ones you want to keep that might not be in the one that you want to adopt, and then saying, how does this fit, how do we rewrite it so it's in this new one? It's just to get familiar with what we have, and move on to the next step.
Let's face it, this isn't gonna be a month deal. This is gonna be at least a year, at least.
I think so, yeah.
So I just want everybody to be familiar with it, and coming down and looking through it on your time It's just easier to have it in your house and say, okay, I'm gonna go through a few pages, just to see. You can start making notes on a separate thing.
We can,
Highlighting things that you think need to be.
Sure.
we get that CD yet from this, the new one? Once we get it, we should have that printed out as well and have that, so we can look at that and
I mean,
we
that's
can reach out to
basically,
Coleraine and get Colerane's ordinance as well and have that ready to go, so we can also discuss that and say, we really like the way this is set up, and so therefore we wanna make.
then all you have to do is format it properly.
Yeah.
So, but that's the biggest thing is for all of us to become familiar with, because if, like I say, if I'm not mistaken, there is a lot of horse and buggy stuff in there yet.
And I mean, and I don't want to
There's
do a
farms
whole
in
lot.
there, there's farms.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to do a ton of, well, not that I don't want to do a ton of reading. I know that I've been into your office before, is it possible to get Grand Rapids ordinances and go over some of those? I know it's a much bigger city than ours, but is there things that we can take away from?
Well, if that's what you would like, I can ask, and I'm pretty sure they'll say, yes, you can take it and make changes to it, but that's up to the council to decide, not me.
And I've spoken to the police chief of Nashwauk, and I know that they have some that are, they made some changes to their blight that would be great if we could adopt some of that, so I think going out and talking to people in general, and if you know people from other towns that are in a position that they know some of this stuff, would help. Too, not narrowing it down to Coleraine. Yes, it'd be nice to be similar to Coleraine as our police departments work jointly, and knowing two different ordinances might be a pain in the butt, but.
So we'll have the clerks ask for Coleraine, if we can have a copy of their ordinance, if we can look at implementing it, we can make some changes there, I have no
They're
problem
all
with that.
online.
We're all online, so we'll just
I don't need it.
print them out, would you?
I do have a copy.
I mean-
of Coleraine.
Fuck it. I don't know how the mayor feels of Coleraine, but
But Coleraine has a lot of.
they paid money to
information.
have that done,
They have a lot of.
Well, I'm
information.
happy to think that you would use us as a model.
Yes.
the model city.
Yeah, that's
Like I
right.
say, they
Model
have,
village.
they have farms, they have out of city, they have in city, they have developments, they
Yeah.
have land as far as lake shore. So there's a lot of things that would not apply to us.
I just don't wanna be the one saying, let's grab this, let's grab that, I want the council to decide what they wanna grab and look at, you know? I just know that I want to make this to get done so that our people are effective in what they need to do and they don't have to spin the wheels.
And I think we'll need input from like Chief Holm, I mean,
Definitely.
at some point, we're gonna need to sit down with everybody
Yeah.
and
What's
input from-
enforceable, what's non-enforceable?
Right.
What do we need, what doesn't apply to us?
Right, what works and what doesn't work,
Right, so.
so.
So far, I think that one of the things that's kind of held us up the longest is just like being clearly defined of what you want us to accomplish for our next meeting. Like, can you give us a real clear cut, this is how many pages I want you to have read?
No,
I mean,
I would just like us to, we've got 2 weeks just to thumb through this and just kind of see, look at it. I'm not expecting you to,
Concentrate on any particular, just start reading it and getting familiar. There's gonna be ordinances there that you don't even know Bovey has.
and you might say, I
And
never
you're
thought
gonna
of
wonder
that.
why they have them.
Yeah, and you might say, I never thought of that. That's
Yeah.
always something that's important to me to make sure it's in the next one. That's all I'm saying, it's just doing some research and then coming back at the next council meeting and say, after I look through this stuff, I got a better understanding of the kind of things we need to look for or change so that when we get the next step.
Like I say, if you make it through 15 or 20 pages in 2 weeks, I'll be happy too.
I've already read the majority of the time and don't want so.
Right.
I mean, I know that part, I don't know any of the other ones.
Right. And like I say, I found it a little easier, and once you start going through it, if you have your own little notepad here, and you start marking it, whether you have a question for something, or, and then we go to the people that are in charge of that and say, is this enforceable? If it isn't, how can we make it enforceable? Is it needed anymore?
You might say, this topic has nothing to do with the city of Bovey, so we don't want to introduce that into the new things we want to adopt. But there might be something in here that you would say, hey, you know what, we should probably keep that in whatever we're gonna use to introduce in, you don't know, I don't know what's all in here. That's the whole point, just thumb through it, see what's there, and see what you might wanna take from this into the new city ordinance. Okay, anything else? And, I guess there's nothing else for that. Clerk,
Well, I don't know if you know anything about this, Kevin, but she had these in the folder, and it's HF number 663, thing for the DNR money stuff, and there's a bunch of copies, so I'm assuming I'm supposed to give the council each one. You don't know anything about it? I don't either, so
would that be for the Beckett thing?
I'm assuming so, it's money for the DNR. I'm guessing you're supposed to have one. I mean, she's-
I can explain this.
Yeah. I don't
I
want to
can
sit down.
explain this. The mayor had sent me this last month, and I in turn referred it to Tara to let the city know, all the council members, that this was being introduced. It was introduced at my planning and zoning, their Thursday meeting, it was discussed then, but Mr. Foss did not, wasn't at our meeting, so we weren't informed of it. So it's basically informational. There's 3 pits involved, and it's just for the study of the bank.
So it's a bill that's being presented for $4,500,000 in money for doing study on the pits,
3 pits.
to include Ken Steele.
Yeah, so that, it's just informational.
And then she had a pro-care letter in there again too.
What is it?
That pro-care letter from back in May.
Well, we'll just leave that be for now.
Okay.
Because I have not received any information from Mr. Stiles. I did in turn talk to Mr. Trent, who must have gave him a little prod because he did call me. And he did say, couldn't quite find the information, but he would definitely work on getting it to me. So he was letting me know I hadn't been forgotten.
That's all I have.
All right. Any unfinished business?
I'll move to adjourn.
All right. The motion, is there a second? Second by Nancy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.